Your team resents you, so what can you do about it? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about building influence when your team resents you. So let's get into it. First of all, I cannot take credit for this video topic. This topic came off the back of my previous video, The Leadership Lie, which is linked here for you. And a wonderful subscriber by the name of Justin Linnaeus, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. He left a comment, and the comment was very vulnerable. He didn't have to share that. And I appreciate that he did. Shout out to him. Why do I appreciate it? Because it was an opportunity to go deeper in a different area that I discussed in the Leadership Live video. Could I have gone ahead and just gave him, some kind of blanket comment, thanks for watching and blah blah blah? Sure, I could have. But I didn't want to do that. Why? Because I know I've experienced resentment when joining teams, and I know you all as viewers have as well. So let's talk about it, right? That's what we're here to do. You're here watching or listening to this because you like the fire that I bring when it comes to leadership, because no one else is talking about these different things. So this is something that we need to discuss. What do you do when you join an organization, either as a vertical, a lateral move, or it's brand new for you, you're a new hire, where you are coming in and people are being shady and or salty? Well, first thing I want to say is, before I get into some of these different things, is that some of this ties into a few things I've said in two previous videos. I recently did a video on podcast reflections, and I made the comment that you have organizations that are running, years behind because of the corporate capitalistic model. They're operating from a space that is very exclusionary and this is the way we've always done it. So because of that, when you have fresh faces, new perspectives, people who come in that are about their business when most other people in the organization have become complacent, that creates resentment. That creates the saltiness. So it's not even about you specifically. It's about what you potentially represent, which is a disruption to the status quo. And something else that I mentioned in another video on DEI, which will be linked here as well, is that because you have organizations that are operating in the fashion that I just explained, there are no standards and accountability set in place when it comes to equity and inclusion. So what does that mean? That means that you have people that are going to be cliquish. They're going to stick with each other and, have their little water cooler moments or whatever. There is no impetus, no catalyst to welcome people into the fold, if you will. What does that relate back to? Company culture. And as you heard me say a few times on this channel, company culture comes from what? The top down. So that already lets you know what time it is in the organization if it has allowed an environment such as that to fester and rot, that it is not aware of those things and fixing it. That fresh faces, right? New perspectives should be welcomed. Like, yes, this is how we move the organization forward. Because anytime you apply for a job, what do they always tell you? We're looking for people who are innovative. We're looking for team players. But when you get on the other side of that interview, what happens? Boop, you find that all of that talk is out the door and it's business as usual. Why? Because the culture is not created in a way that is conducive to innovation, to true teamwork and building. Now, I could go on and on that piece, and maybe I will on another video. Comment below if you want me to go there. First of all, when it comes to building influence when your team resents you, let's be honest here, okay? Acknowledge the reality. The reality is that, yeah, they do resent you. Yeah, they're salty. It's not in your head. This is very real. I experienced this firsthand serving in the Air Force, dealing with civilians. Why? Because these were people that were in career positions. Some of them had been there longer than I had even been alive or even been in the Air Force, and they were stuck in their ways. This is the way we've always done it. And budget, everything, even if there was a way that was faster, better, doesn't matter. This is the way we've always done it. And we're going to stick with that because anything else is going to require learning, going to require behavioral agility, which we've talked about in another video, require change. Ew, who wants that? Let me just clock in, clock out. Again, culture. So that resentment that you are feeling and sensing, it's totally real. Don't pretend like it's not. Don't continue to make yourself uncomfortable or force yourself to believe it's all in your head. That's the first thing. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, they're salty. So, how are we going to deal with it now? Right? Stop trying to be liked. That's the second thing. Stop trying to be liked. They don't have to like you, but they need to respect you. Boom, full stop. That is what needs to happen. So, how do you do that? You build your influence through your actions. That's the fastest way. Showing your competency. Okay. You were hired, you were promoted, okay, for a reason. Play into that. And the third thing is, hey, let's put it out there. Let's address it directly, especially if you are in a position of leading this team. If you are in management, if you are in senior level management and people are being salty, you're new here. Whatever your situation is, address it directly. That's what leaders have to do. Call a spade, a buck, a buck. Okay, I'm not saying do this personally. I'm saying directly. When you have your first team meeting, your first stand up, whatever y'all are doing, address it head on. Hey, I know I'm new here. I know some of you may have wanted this role. I'm not here to replace anyone. I'm here to help us win. However you want to word it, okay? But you need to get it out in the open because what does that do? That allows people to let their guard down. But it also, without being confrontational, it also allows those who were uncomfortable to continue in their discomfort because you're going to have people who were uncomfortable with you coming in. Now that you've put it out in the open, they can breathe. Oh, they're like, oh, okay. You're not coming in to replace me. Okay, I'm good. But those that other piece who were also uncomfortable, they're going to be further uncomfortable. But now they're going to be uncomfortable, not that you're there, but that you called out the situation. So now they know that they're on notice. Okay. Both of which are good for you because it opens the door to build what I just mentioned is the respect and the influence. So this is not about you apologizing. This is a reset, a clean slate. Okay. It acknowledges the big, fat, salty, resentful elephant in the room without making anyone out to be the villain, not you or not them. Because at the end of the day, you still have to make it work with these people. Focus on quick wins, okay? The wins that are visible, that are tangible. We can get to the big stuff later, but for now, don't promise big changes because that's something else that further makes people resentful when they're already in a culture and an environment that's complacent and comfortable. You coming in with these big sweeping changes just makes it worse. Small deliverable wins, fixing a process. And I want to add this as a side note when it comes to fixing processes, because I know sometimes this can be difficult as well when you are coming into an organization where they are set in their ways and people are resentful, is fixing things that you know are wrong and encountering red tape and roadblocks and spikes in the road when it comes to that. Document everything. If you're coming in and you're already saying, okay, these folks are going to act a certain way, sensing some saltiness, document everything, dates, times, situations, and keep a file. That is for you. Because especially if you are a leader of color, hey, guess what? You never know. You never know when they may want to flip the script and try to blame things on you. So you want to make sure you have everything documented. And a second thing is, if you are encountering roadblocks when it comes to fixing processes, lean on your boss, lean on your supervision, your leadership. Why? Because it puts them on notice. It calls their bluff when they tell you they have an open door policy, that they're there to support you and help you lead the team and blah, blah, blah. All those great things that they like to say, lean in on that. Call them to task on that. How? By saying, hey, I've been working on this thing. There's this process that is broken, and I have a way that it can be done. However, I'm experiencing roadblocks in the way of achieving the fix for this process. No, I'm not saying, oh, Sally Sue is the reason why I'm not getting it done. No, 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 no. That's not leadership. What I'm saying, let your management, your leadership know. The ones that you answer to, let them know that you are trying to fix X, Y, and Z. And there are some things that are stopping you from fixing X, Y, and Z. If they are serious, they will support you in getting that resolved. If they are not, that's okay too, because now you've documented it. So you can still do what you need to do. And if they come down the road and there's an audit and inspection or whatever you guys are doing, and that wasn't taken care of, well, you can say, hey, I blew the whistle on this. I came to such and such. I tried to have this fixed, and I encountered this problem. I encountered this roadblock. We used to say all the time in the military, CYOA. Cover your own beep. So you want to make sure that you do that. Now, I know that was a whole rabbit hole when it came to just, fixing broken processes, but I wanted to mention that because that's a very real thing as well. But yes, come in directly and clear the air with your people. The whole clean slate conversation, as I said, that's a reset. And we talked about focusing on the quick win. So the last thing is, give people enough room to make their own bed. Okay, what do I mean? If you have identified there's certain individuals that are salty or resentful with you for the position and what you're doing with the organization, treat everyone fairly. Don't take it personally. Give them enough space to prove themselves that they're either going to make a really big mistake and be exposed, or they're going to come into the fold and see that you are not here to hurt or harm. You are here to elevate and help the organization achieve its end goal. So I want to be very clear on that. With leadership, we don't want to be reactive, right? We don't want to be reactive in looking over our shoulder and thinking that everyone's out to get us. However, we do want to be vigilant and be prepared. That's why I mentioned documentation and addressing things directly and publicly. But be fair, be even and balanced, and let people do with what they're going to do, what they will. At the end of the day, you just show up and do what you need to do. Because this is how you build that influence, as I've said in a previous video. The trust, the loyalty, by demonstrating that your leadership, it's not personal, that you can be consistent. And when you're consistent, you will be surprised how quickly people change their attitude, because they will be forced to, because they will realize that their way of doing things is not going to work around you. So they have to adjust. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time, but you can do it. And this is how you're going to create the conditions where they're going to respect you. Will they like you? Who cares? But they will respect you. And that's the minimum of what's needed, right? They'll respect you. And notice I said not the position, but you, which we've also talked about in a previous video. So that's enough, right? Justin, thank you again for your comment. And let me know in the comments if this video was helpful to you and anyone else who is watching. And as always, stay tuned over here. You already know what time it is when you come over here to my channel. So stay in touch. And if you want to be able to navigate these difficult situations with leadership and preparing your team, your organization for the future, for the now, click that link in the description and book a call with me, and we can have that discussion about how I can help you and your team take everything you're doing to the next level. And until next time, peace.